Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports. Welcome to another Fantasy Life Championship live stream event. Very excited to do this. We've done this pretty much the last month now here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. We broadcast our Fantasy Life Championship draft every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. If you want to get in it, the drafts are all up right now. Just go to RTSports.com, click on that Money League link. You can sort by championship, and you can sign up for next Wednesday's drafts, and then you can hear Howard and I break it down. And as I mentioned, Howard is with me once again. Howard Bender is on the show. Always excited to have him. He is not drafting this week, though. He just gets to talk about everybody's pick and give him a hard time maybe a little bit along the way.
Oh, Howard, no doubt. Thanks as always for having me, Jeff. Listen, man, this has become a Wednesday night ritual, and it's a ton of fun too. You know,
it is
good insights into, what a lot of the people are thinking about players, good insights into thinking about, drafting in a large field tournament. So I dig it, man. I definitely dig it.
It's definitely a great way to help you prepare for your drafts. If you're thinking about getting in one of these, maybe seeing how they play out, you want to get a lay of the land, so to say, and figure out how you want to attack the draft. It's a great tool to use to help you prepare for draft day, and Howard and I are happy to bring it to you. And as I mentioned, it's the Fantasy Life Championship Draft. It's 12-team league. It's a QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flex, not super flex, and then a kicker and a defense. And it is 20 rounds long, and it has already started, Howard. They normally go off fast and furious, and it starts 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And we're already several picks in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the draft board up for everybody to look at. You can actually follow along as well. RTSports.com/live if you want to bring up the draft board as well. Maybe if you're watching this after the draft is over with, you want to see how it all played out. But here are the first picks. It goes Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. So pretty standard stuff there, Howard. Nothing too out of the ordinary with these first 4 picks. Quite frankly, I mean, not much else to say, I guess.
No, I mean, you kind of, again, we talk about this week in, week out. Everybody always sweats their first round pick, right? Everybody's like, who do I take? Oh, I'm picking 6th. Who do I take if he's there between? And the same philosophy over and over again. You take the guy you want. Take the guy you really like, that you want to root for, that you want him to play. Like, take that guy and build your strategy around it. If that guy who's sitting on the board is your favorite running back, take him, and then take wide receiver, afterwards. Build out that. It's just a matter of how you want to build your team. So, it's senseless to sit here and split hairs between Barkley, Robinson, and Gibbs. They're all great. Love them all. Do I take them in that order? Maybe. I might think Robinson over Barkley. It just depends on what my portfolio looks like, Jeff.
Exactly. And I'll go through the team names as well. I didn't do that. So Championship is picking first. He took Jamar Chase, and it's Drago Champions, Parliament, Krish. I'll just go with that. The Waco Kid, Los Haggis, Donkey, Mighty Ducks, Shake It Up, Booty, Tron, Running Rebels, and Showtime. That's the order of the draft. We actually have a celebrity in the draft too. Jeff Bridges is picking 10th. That's kind of the dude is in there picking 10th, Howard. Crazy.
Is that Jeff Bridges? Jeff Bridges?
I don't know. I mean, it's got to be, right? He's a huge RT Sports fan.
All right. Well, oh man, I wish I had known. I would have fired up a little White Russian. I can smoke a little if you want during the broadcast here and talk about it. So the dude abides.
There you go. Anxious to see who he picks at 10 there. That should be good. So Christian McCaffrey goes pick 6, and then Justin Jefferson was before that. As you mentioned, it's usually how it kind of goes in these spots. Jefferson, McCaffrey, or CeeDee Lamb around this area. Nothing. I mean, for me, I think in this contest, I think McCaffrey's a big risk, but I kind of like taking it in the middle there just because the upside is there for huge things if he can stay healthy. So I don't mind doing that at all.
Yeah, he always has RB1 upside, right?
Yeah.
Like when he is healthy, best guy out there. So, yeah, getting a little older, sure, but I'm with you there. I'm with you.
For sure. And then CeeDee Lamb goes Ashton Genty, again, pretty normal. So before this first round gets out of here, I want to make sure I mention our new rewards program.
Oh yeah.
Something new here that we're doing at RealTime Fantasy Sports. We're really excited about that. I will bring up the tab so you can see how you can get into that if you're unfamiliar with it. I just hit stop sharing, so I need to do the other way around. Apologize for that. Let me bring it up here so everybody can see it. And if you want to get into this, so you click under your heading. So my name's Power 18 here, and you click on rewards, and then it brings it up. So it's kind of catered to your area. So not every state has the same opportunities as other states, but as you can see, I'm in Missouri here. So if I get in a fantasy life championship draft any day in June, I will get a $10 pick'em ticket entered into my account. So you get 10 free dollars into your account. You can use that on any of the pick'em games, or if you want to get in a best ball championship, you get in one of those, you get a $5 pick'em ticket, and it goes up from there. So you get in 5 fantasy life championship drafts, you get $75 pick'em ticket, 10, $150 pick'em ticket, 20, $250 pick'em ticket, and a free TFC. So as you can see, it's a an escalating reward system here, but we're really excited to do it to try to give everybody some rewards for signing up early and getting in leagues. And you can do slow drafts as well. It doesn't have to just be the normal one. So if you want to see yours, just again, you go under your name and then hit rewards, and it'll show you everything you have on there. So we're kind of really excited to offer that this year. So definitely take advantage of that.
Look at that little DFS pick'em profit boost you got going on yours. I don't have that on mine. Where's mine?
Oh, I get that. I don't know. I can't win though, unfortunately. So I play just to just to play. So it's kind of fun, but
Just
I
to
can't
keep
really.
the skills sharp. Come on.
Exactly.
Just to keep the skills sharp. We'll do some pick'em stuff. We'll do some pick'em stuff for football together, Jeff.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll
All right.
Yeah.
I'll bring back up the screen here. We're actually halfway through the second round, just about now. Let me do
Good
that.
pace, guys. Good pace.
It is. They're flying through it. All right. Let's go here.
Best Jeff Bridges movie you've ever seen. What do you think?
Oh, Jeff Bridges movie. Man, he's been in a lot of good movies.
Done a ton. He's done a ton.
Oh.
I'm going to shout it out for his performance in The Fisher King.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
That was, big celebrity guy spiraling out of control. Amazing performance with Mercedes Rule and Robin Williams, of course.
I think some of that movie took place in St. Louis here, my hometown. I want to say for some reason it was taped here. I can't think of, I don't know. He's been in so many good movies. Oh boy. I mean, I guess I'll go
don't say the Big Lebowski.
I know, that's what I was gonna say.
Go with go obscure, go retro, go like Starman. How about that?
That wasn't a bad movie.
It was a good movie. Who was that? Karen Allen was his co-star in that one.
What was the Western he was in recently that he got a bunch of awards for? I can't even think of the name of it now.
I can't remember the name of it either.
I can't think of it either.
Wow, sorry, Jeff.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm not a Western guy. I'm like I'm an 80s Jeff Bridges kind of guy.
There you go. Gotcha. All right. So Jeff Bridges actually took Devon Achane here in the first round, picked 10, and then it went Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas, Nico Collins, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Drake London, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, Ladd McConkey, AJ Brown, Brock Bowers. So I think the only pick kind of stands out to me a little bit. Maybe Ladd McConkey there. Is that a little earlier than he normally goes? Everything else looks pretty good.
He's getting some steam.
He's
getting a little bit of steam right now, and I think that's kind of pushing the envelope a little bit too much there. I mean, again, we have to remember it is a run-first offense. They did draft Trey Harris to help stretch the field and be that big split end that they need. Love him or hate him, they still have, Quentin Johnston, or they brought back Mike Williams, and then you bring in a pass-catching tight end and Tyler Conklin as well. So, it's not that I don't, think that McCaffrey's not going to see all the targets and number one status, but they are going to spread it out a little bit more. And, I don't know. I do like AJ Brown ahead of him, in this pick.
Yeah, I like AJ Brown's touchdown appeal a little more. He's really pretty consistent when it comes to that area. We actually have a couple. Someone asked a question in the chat here, and it was about the rewards being retroactive for drafts. We already did. Unfortunately, it's not. It's just for ones that have taken place in June. So they are not retroactive. But that's a good question. Good question. If you have any other questions about anything, fantasy-wise, or about RT Sports or this draft, want to comment on it, go ahead and shoot them, mark them there in the chat there, and we'll definitely talk about them. So you got Brock Bowers, then goes after A.J. Brown, James Cook, and Josh Allen, back-to-back Buffalo picks. James Cook, I don't know if we've talked about him yet. Let's talk about Cook a little bit. Do you think he's going to have another big season? He kind of found the end zone more. I think that was always the knock on him. Josh Allen steals those rushing touchdowns, but James Cook is back finding the end zone last year at least. Do you like him again this year? What's your thoughts on Cook?
I like the player. I don't like where he's going. I mean, it's super easy to be like, he's never going to rush for 16 touchdowns again. There's going to be some touchdown regression. But the question is, I mean, even if he regresses by 4 or 5 touchdowns, right? If you figure that to be natural regression, 4 or 5 touchdowns, he's still scoring double-digit touchdowns for you, which not every running back will do. I think the real issue here, though, is usage, excuse me, and yardage, right? I mean, not 1,000 yards. And it's not just about Josh Allen, taking away work. It's also Joe Brady's scheme. Joe Brady, and you can look at the way that they've built that offense around, with there is no alpha receiver. Everybody's like an interchangeable cog in this machine, right? Khalil Shakir is no different than Keon Coleman, is no different than Curtis Samuel, is no different than Elijah Moore that we brought in. I mean, how many of the same receiver can you do? Because Joe Brady loves doing those crossing routes, right? He loves the short crossing routes, creating a little bit of confusion. One of the guys will be open, whether it's off of like a potential pick or something like that. He'll release the running back into that. But, I almost feel like it could end up being, a little too much of a dink and dunk style offense. And and in that realm, it's like, what is James Cook's role? Is he ever going to be a 1,200-yard rusher? That's what I want in the second round. I don't want a guy who's going to be 950 and 8 touchdowns. That's not what I'm looking for there.
And I don't like to bring up people that haven't been drafted, but everybody knows these guys are available, and he's kind of been the talk of the day a little bit. Keon Coleman, talking about him being in much better shape, looking like he's a much tougher cover. Do you believe in him at all after just what you mentioned about those receivers? I'm still not sure I do, but wanted to get your thoughts on him.
I like him. If there is one guy that the Bills can use to stretch the field and be a vertical threat, be somebody who can go up again, for contested catches, because the other guys can't. The other guys are too small. The other guys are hit them in stride and let's pick up yards after the catch. So if you do want to mix it up, Coleman is the one guy who I think could be capable of that. So I like him. But I like where he's going in drafts. He's not going until much later on. So if I can get him at his current ADP right now, I feel good about it.
I got you. All right, let's look at this third round here. Josh Allen was the last pick in the second round. Then went Bucky Irving, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Trey McBride, Breece Hall, Lamar Jackson, Chase Brown, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Alvin Kamara, RJ Harvey, and Kenneth Walker. So the RJ Harvey, the one guy I wanted to mention here, because there's talk that J.K. Dobbins is having a visit to Denver. That sent up red flags for you with Harvey at all, Howard?
That upsets me. It did upset me to see it. It did. I mean, it's an indictment on what Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi think of Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime, right? I mean, to me, that's what it is. You bring in a guy like J.K. Dobbins, and that to me kind of means, like, if you sign J.K. Dobbins, you're putting him. The best way to equate it is, I always like to go back to the old offense, right? This is the Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram backfield that Peyton and Lombardi are building again, and I want to see RJ Harvey in that Alvin Kamara role. Can take it between the tackles. Will also catch a ton of passes. Let's not forget, running backs in a Joe Lombardi system for the last, I want to say, 8 seasons has finished in the top 3 in receptions, the running back room. And it's always been their mark. You bring in J.K. Dobbins, and to me, that's the pass catching role. That's not the between the tackles guy. So do they see R.J. Harvey more as a Mark Ingram or more of as an Alvin Kamara? So that's kind of what makes me a little about it. When I heard that they were like, Audric Estime could, we needed to use him more. That tells me that he could be that Mark Ingram role, and R.J. Harvey would end up being the Alvin Kamara job. And then I would be very happy with that.
I hear you there. I agree. It definitely sends up some flags there about maybe what they're thinking, red flags there, what they're thinking with that backfield. And
I'm still drafting them.
Yeah, I still love the potential and the upside, so to say, of Harvey getting in the 3rd round. He already had 2 backs. It's actually Jeff Bridges that took him. Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, R.J. Harvey, and Omarion Hampton. So he went with the 2 steady veterans. So I know Achane's still relatively young, but he's pretty entrenched in that backfield. So he's got 2 pretty established backs, and he took some chances with Harvey and Hampton. 4 straight backs. So that's the only team that has done that so far. Do you like that 4-team back build that he has done there?
I certainly don't hate it. Listen, it's very funny. Last week's drafts that we were covering, Achane and Henry went to the same team as well. Remember?
And I said, you're right. Yep.
I would flip-flop them. I would take Henry before I would take Achane, but he ended up with both of them. And so we see that again here in the exact same way. Yeah, I think that, you've got guys who have really high ceilings, right? Really high ceilings. Omarion Hampton is, he's going to be in a shared role with Najee Harris, but it's still a heavy run first offense. I know what RJ Harvey's going to be doing in Denver. Henry's a stud. Achane is, as long as Tua is there, Achane is solid. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes as far as who his receivers are. Does he take a bunch of shots late in the draft? Does he, because he knows he's going to probably be weaker at wide receiver, given what's left on the board, does he say, I take a top quarterback now? Do I take a top tight end now? And kind of just play wide receiver roulette later on in the draft. So should be an interesting build.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. You could definitely go that route just to satisfy that receiver position. So Garrett Wilson, we talked about him kind of being undervalued. He actually went, I guess, the 3rd pick in the 3rd round. So that is 27th overall. His ADP is 39 on our site right now. I feel like he's starting to inch up a little bit. I think people are starting to realize that he could end up being really good value there at the end of the 3rd or early 4th round, where we actually saw him go in some drafts earlier. But now he's inching up a little bit. I guess I'm thinking people are starting to buy into Wilson a little bit.
I take full credit, 100% credit. if you check this last week's weekly Bender, when I talked about some of my favorite guys and my values, I mentioned where Garrett Wilson was going. And I think it's criminal. Listen, I'm not saying that Justin Fields is a great passer, but Justin Fields has very limited targets. It's consolidated targets. You've got Garrett Wilson, and then where are you going? Mason Taylor, probably at tight end, seems like the most logical guy, because it certainly isn't Alan Lazard or any of the other crap that they've got there. I know they brought in that kid and he drafted Arian Smith, and he, as soon as he got the he's uncoverable in OTAs, I was like, I'm out. That's it. I'm done. I don't want to hear nonsense like that, but there is no other target. Garrett Wilson is the guy. They have history together at Ohio State. They will be locked in, like we talk about wide receiver quarterback chemistry all the time. I think this is just setting up to be a great spot for Wilson, that even if you don't love the type of passer Justin Fields is, these guys know how to get it done.
4th round goes James Conner, Mike Evans, DJ Moore. Oh, actually, I'm going the wrong way. Joe Mixon, Marvin Harrison, Omarion Hampton, T. Higgins, Chuba Hubbard, Terry McLaurin, Rashee Rice, Jaden Daniels is the 3rd QB off the board. Travion Henderson, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, James Conner. So we actually have seen Daniels go first. Some of these drafts, he's the 3rd QB off the board here in the 4th round. You look at those picks in the 4th round, Howard, is there one that you like more than any other? Any picks stand out to you?
I mean, again, T. Higgins going before Terry McLaurin kind of surprises me. In front of Mike Evans, in front of DJ Moore, I think that that kind of just surprises me a little bit. It's not that I don't like T. Higgins, but I want to go. I mean, he's the second fiddle to Jamar, and he'll always be second fiddle. Terry McLaurin, he's the number one. I don't care if Debo Samuel's in town. That doesn't shock me. DJ Moore, he's the lead wide receiver for Caleb Williams in an offense that's being run by Ben Johnson, who's an offensive guru. And yes, Mike Evans, Josh Grizzard's going to be a pass-heavy kind of guy. And Mike Evans will go for his 12th straight season with 1,000 yards. So, I put that in front of T. Higgins. But, I mean, I'm not going to fault any of these guys. I love them all. Jaden Daniels, I'll tell you what. Can I let you know? I'm kind of thinking that my rankings are going to look Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, with Josh Allen third.
Wow.
I think that, I mean, this Jackson's numbers were better than Josh Allen's last year. He should have gotten the MVP, right? His numbers were phenomenal the year before that. He's a juggernaut who, he's got reliable pass catching tight ends. He's got Derrick Henry working behind him, which is just all that does is open up wider rushing lanes, because if they're going to run an RPO, I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Derrick Henry. I mean, it's just going to work well, continue to work well. This is like exactly what Lamar Jackson needs, right? So his numbers are great. And Josh Allen in a dink and dunk offense, maybe they try to give the ball to James Cook a little bit more. And then Jaden Daniels is the wild card. Can he if he takes a step forward, but then he passes Josh Allen statistically, if he takes a step forward.
Yeah, I was just interested to watch him all year long, what was going to happen near the end of the season when people start getting more film on him. But it just seemed like nothing rattled Daniels at all. He just produced week in and week out. He was always ready for the big moment as well. So I'm not betting against him at all in his second season. I don't have a problem with you ranking him second in your rankings as well. I think there's a lot of good QBs this year. And as I was doing some of these, not that this is a best ball draft, but when I'm doing the best ball drafts now, I just feel like I do not want to go early on a QB in these best ball drafts, because there's so many guys you can get late that can be productive and have huge games on a weekly basis, like Justin Herbert or Jordan Love. For me, in a best ball format, I'm waiting on a QB. I'm not going to go early to get one of these guys. What say you, Howard?
I've been mixing it up. I've been doing all these beat Bender drafts that are there, which you guys can jump in on if you want. It's I've done all three. I've taken an early guy, right? I've taken mid-tier Kyler Murray, Bo Nix. I've waited till like late and done like Justin Fields or Jordan Love or even CJ Stroud. So I've tried it all. What I've found is that I prefer the Bo Nix, Kyler Murray range, because I like loading up on running backs and wide receivers early. And to know, and think about it. I mean, if you're getting Bo Nix, if he had more rushing yards than Josh Allen, right? If he got to the end zone a couple of more times, I mean, that's definitely that puts him past. He's in a developing, emerging offense there in Denver. So yeah, I find that seems to be where I like the most. But I guess it really comes down to, Jeff, is your preference a mobile QB versus a pocket passer?
It's fair. Yeah.
That's why I kind of do. I do both in a best ball. I'll take, I talked about it before, the yin yang thing. Yep. I'll take, if I take a Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels early, I got Matt Stafford waiting for me in round 13. Thank you.
For sure. And you mentioned it, the Beat Bender contest, $10,000 grand prize, a lot of drafts going off already. And we are already projecting that's going to sell out, and it could sell out like well before the start of the season. So if you want to get in one of these, I would advise at least just signing up and securing a spot so you have it, It's a great contest. Like I mentioned, $10,000 grand prize. Get to go up against Howard Bender in a lot of these leagues as well. 1.5 tight end scoring.
Tight end premium.
That's the slight difference in scoring there. So definitely take advantage of that league and get a shot to win $10,000 as well. You can tell everybody too how they could use the promo code that you have there, Howard.
Oh yeah. If you haven't signed up over at RT to join any of these contests, RTSports.com/Bender. They'll give you a 50% deposit match up to $500. So right off the bat there, it tells me that, if it's going to be up to 500, that's an entry into the fantasy championships. And that's, another 10 beat Bender best ball drafts at $20 a pop, right? I could do that.
Exactly. Yep. And then you'll also get some reward money too, I believe. So you would get some pick'em money to throw in your account too if you want to sign up for that. So all sorts of stuff we're offering. So I'd definitely take advantage of that. If you've never signed up for any money leagues on our site, you definitely want to do that and take advantage of the Howard Bender promo code. So let's get back to this draft now, Howard. Round 5 went Tyron Tracy, Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Quinshon Judkins, George Kittle, Zay Flowers, Jamison Williams, Joe Burrow, Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin, Chris Olave, and DeAndre Swift. So out of all these teams here, we have the last 4 all have running backs and receivers on the roster, nothing else. They're the only 4 that have that. Kind of interesting that it's played out that way. Wonder who they're going to end up with as their tight ends and QBs, but definitely some good receivers and running backs on those teams. I mean, the Rock Frost team has Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, and DK Metcalf. I really like that build there. And then the last team, Showtime, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas Jr., Tyreek Hill, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, and Caleb Johnson. So of those 4 teams, Howard, which build do you like the best of the running back receiver mix these guys got going on?
It's kind of interesting. I think if I'm looking at the teams and the players, I think Bridges' team the most. Just from the sense that Tron was an amazing movie. No, I like the players that he's gone with here. Going the aggressive with the running backs. A guy like Godwin, there's some risk with him coming back from the knee injury. I get that, but again, I believe this will be a high-powered offense run by Josh Grizzard, and then Ted McMillan. I mean, do you see a situation where Ted McMillan isn't getting a 25% target share? So I mean, that to me, is rock solid. I mean, I like all of these teams, but again, I'll poke holes. I thought T. Higgins went a little early, and DK Metcalf again sorted out Pittsburgh. Crabber, get off the pot for crying out loud. Give me, say we're out on Aaron Rodgers and we're not trading for Kirk Cousins. Like, I need to know who's your quarterback, because it kills me to not have shares of DK Metcalf for fear that Mason Rudolph will be his quarterback. And they just turn to DK and they're like, yo, dude, we're going to tank this year without saying we're tanking. And next year, that's when it's going to be great. We're going to go get you a quarterback. We're going to go get you Archie Manning. Right? Like, I mean, just to keep them quiet, maybe.
Yep, for sure. That's definitely a scary situation, having Mason Rudolph as the number 1 right now.
So gross.
Ted McMillan's another one that kind of excites me. I just look at what Bryce Young did with Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen's pretty washed. I hate to say it, and he was racking up the targets the last 2 years when he was in the lineup. So if McMillan can get that type of looks, and that offense that looked better operating at the end of last year, I'm excited about him too. I think in round 6 as a number 2 receiver, I'd take that all day. Give me McMillan all day for that price.
Hey, Scott Schoenwolf got himself a second running back finally. It only took into round 7 for him to take a guy. I was worried about that.
Yeah, he is the last one to do that there. There's another team there. Oh no, the Waco kid here picking right now. He only has 1 running back.
Oh yeah, he only has 1 running back also.
Yeah. Kind of thinning out here a little bit too. Some of these not a whole lot of great options out there at this point in round 7. Hasn't been quite as running back heavy as some of the drafts we've watched, though. See who he
No,
goes.
no, this definitely was lighter on the running backs than before.
Yeah.
To see Pacheco or Brian Robinson here in the 7th, no, definitely not. Definitely not.
So I just was writing an article about ADP earlier today, and two of my favorite at their current price went in round 6, Jerry Jeudy and Calvin Ridley. I think Jeudy, it's kind of the same thing you were mentioning with Garrett Wilson. Like, who else is going to catch the ball there in Cleveland? I've never been a big Jeudy fan just because he's underwhelmed, but I was impressed by him last year. And it was the same QB situation, basically. I know Jameson Winston liked to air it out and he took chances, but either way, it was not a great situation for him last year. It's probably going to be similar to this year. And he was 13th overall in fantasy receiver scoring, and he's going 71 in current drafts ADP. So I think Judy's really undervalued personally.
It's kind of interesting, right? Because we're hearing right now that Joe Flacco is going to open the season. We know that there's a competition between Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. I don't see Joe Flacco lasting the whole way. And personally, I think Shedeur Sanders ends up winning this job. I think he's got, more talent than Dylan Gabriel. And I think that Cleveland needs to start fresh. And, listen, forget about the Deshaun Watson stuff. I'd be very surprised. Even everybody kind of talks about him being in the background. I'd almost be surprised to see him ever put on the uniform again or play a game at all. Especially if Shedeur Sanders kind of wins out that job. But, Flacco wants to air it out 40, 50 times a game. He doesn't run, right? So that peppers Jeudy with targets. And if it's Shedeur Sanders, what was his best move in college? It were bubble screens, short yardage things. Keep that completion percentage up. And if that's the case, then Judy's going to see a ton of targets there. I like him. And you know what? The guy on the other side of the field from him who can stretch the field a little bit better. I don't want to say any names here, but it rhymes with Medrick Pillman. Right? I think he's kind of undervalued as well.
Yeah, I agree. I like him, especially in a best ball format, because he is can have that huge game any given week. You talked briefly about Deshaun Watson, but that's got to be one of the worst. There's been a lot of bad signings in the NFL over the years, but that's got to be one of the worst in the history of football. It's just absolutely unbelievable how bad he's been there and how much money they gave him for such a long period of time. Wow. Just awful.
Guaranteed. You want to give me a crazy contract, give me a crazy contract, but make them earn it, for crying out loud. What are they guaranteed? $254 million of that?
And he had question marks coming into it, and you give him that. Holy cow. Typical Browns. I hate to say it.
Typical Browns. Right. Joe Bradshaw with the handcuff, Walker and Charbonnet. That's my dude. Joe.
There you go.
Fist bump right there.
He did your stack there. Now we got to see what another owner does here a little later. We won't give that one away. But round 7 went Cooper Kupp, Khalil Shakir, Isaiah Pacheco, George Pickens, Brian Robinson, Deebo Samuel, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Hunter, Jalen Warren, Matthew Golden, Roma Dunze, and Cam Scatterbo. Shakir seems a little high for me. I don't think I can take him ahead of guys like Hunter or even Pickens or Samuel. I know he'll get some targets in that offense, but I don't know. He was one of my favorite picks last year because you get him so cheap. But this year, I don't think I want to pay that big of a price tag to get Shakir at that spot of the draft.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a good ceiling. He just doesn't. He's not a, there's really no fear of him breaking a big play. Will he do it at some point? Probably. Sun shines on a dog's ass at least once. but again, there's no, he's he's your typical, short A dot kind of guy. They'll try and get him the ball in space. It's like what they're doing with Xavier Worthy. At least Worthy's got the speed to go downfield and stretch it out, and they'll try that with him a couple of times. They don't do that with Shakir. I don't know. I mean, what's his average depth of target? Is probably a 4.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, he'll get you 5 catches for 60 yards. Not too exciting. He's not a huge red zone target either in that offense. Travis Hunter now, he's kind of a guy who I'm kind of getting more and more intrigued by as we get closer to the season as well. I'm just kind of fascinated by what they're going to end up doing with him. It scares me that he could play two ways and play some defense, but man, he's an exciting talent. Definitely can break the big play any given week. So I don't know. I think taking a chance on Hunter as a number 3 or number 4 receiver, I'd do that.
Yeah, I mean, having CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, and JSN all locked in there allows you to take that chance on Travis Hunter, right? We were talking before the show started. Scott Fishbowl scoring dropped, big charity tournament that dropped its scoring, and it's basically it's giving any offensive player credit for IDP scoring if they play on defense. So while, yes, you could turn around and be like, well, to defend against the Hail Mary, you see so many teams, they'll put like wide receivers out there. If a wide receiver catches it, it's 6 points for a defensive interception, and that works. But deep down, it's just about taking a guy like Travis Hunter, who is supposed to be playing both ways this year, and seeing how high up will somebody take him in a super flex draft where there's a lot of points for volume, and there's this IDP, scoring tag in there. Would that be enough to see Travis Hunter taken at the 1-1 in a super flex draft?
Yeah, I bet you he is taking 1-1 in some of those leagues. Does it count? Do like tackles count for special teams as well?
Not for special teams, but on defense, it's 2 points for a tackle, 1 point for an assisted tackle. So, it's if you get a guy who's super active as a cornerback and has that kind of upside, yeah, if you're getting points for tackles and this dude's like, if this dude has, 3-4 tackles a game, that's a big deal. If all of a sudden that's an additional, 8 to 10 points it could be.
Because I know he had a more of an emphasis on the return game as well the last couple of years, and I was wondering if a special teams player that gets tackles, but doesn't look like that's the case. That could vault their value as well. All right, that's the Scott Fish scoring portion of the show here. So let's go to round. We'll go to round 8.
In this industry, we have to. I mean, listen, we have to have this conversation about him because let's face it, if he does play well two-way, then you've got football's version of Shohei Ohtani. And how many times, Jeff, have you heard people whine and cry about, what do you mean I can't use him for both hitting and pitching in the same week, right? So now you got this with Travis Hunter, Jalen Warren.
The last time that a player was like this in the league was Dion, and fantasy really quite wasn't that popular when it came to like IDP scoring, so it wasn't really an issue. But this is going to be the first time this is going to be brought up, so it should be interesting to see how everybody handles this. Should be fun though. I'm excited to watch him play.
Showtime's all right, so slowly becoming my new favorite team, by the way.
Showtime. Let's take a look at his team now. You say that. Which he's at the wheel. Oh, there you go. Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, and Evan Ingram. Yeah. Love those receivers. Absolutely dynamic. And I think he did well in filling out his running back room as well with Mixon and Swift. And then Caleb Johnson, Scatterbo, Evan Ingram. Yeah, definitely. Good build. I like that as well.
Yeah. Johnson and Scatterbo could be like the touchdown guys for their team, right? They're both like that, little bowling ball between the tackles type runners. So, I think that's, it's a good way to get some, some touchdown points in there if Joe Mixon and DeAndre Swift don't pan out. We're hearing great things about DeAndre Swift coming out of Chicago, and I know there's like a ton of hype, but where's the competition for touches in that backfield? It's not Roschon Johnson. Is it Kevin Mungayami or whatever his name is? I can't even pronounce his last name. Who the hell knows?
No, I agree. I feel like I had him ranked higher than most DeAndre Swift, but it was just because of that, the competition factor. There's nobody in that backfield that impresses me at all. I have him 17th overall in my rankings because of that, and just because of the Ben Johnson factor with how much success he had with both those running backs in Detroit. But again, we do have to preface, he's not going to have that same offensive line to work with. That's a huge huge boost for that Lions offense. That offensive line is absolutely phenomenal for the run and pass game. Now, the losing Ragnow, that's a big loss for them. I wonder how that's going to impact them. I mean, they got all sorts of losses: offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, passing game coordinator, the center. I'm just wondering what's going to happen here. It's kind of crazy.
And it's funny because you talk to any Lions fan, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's all right, man. We already drafted his replacement in the second round, right? Oh, we just moved this guy over one spot. He's gonna be fine." Like that's all I'm hearing from Lions fans right now. I'm like, no. I'm like, please, no. I mean, just the amount of the importance of a center like Frank Ragnow. I mean, it's huge, right? I mean, it's, the Eagles' offensive line is not as good without Jason Kelsey at center, right? I won a ton of money picking the Atlanta Falcons to go to the Super Bowl the year they signed Alex Mack to be their center. They lost, but, whatever. They still, made it to the Super Bowl. And Alex Mack was a huge part. I agree with you. Losing your coaches, your coordinators, losing a guy like Ragnow, that's a big deal. That is a big deal.
Agreed. So the first team, the championship team, he is going tight end heavy like crazy. He has Sam Laporta in round 6. Then he took Kupp and then Colston Loveland and Jonnu Smith. So 3 tight ends. You can start 2 flex positions here though. So, I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't know if I can take 3 tight ends with my first 9 picks personally.
Yeah, it seems a little overkill. It's not tight end premium. I mean, you're getting guys who have, good targets. Sam Laporta regressed last year, which we all kind of expected. People who drafted him in the second round it was crazy. It was insane, right? Mm-hmm. That's why I'm almost like, I don't even know if I don't want to touch Brock Bowers in the second round at his ADP. That scares the willies out of me. So, Sam Laporta has some questions there. I do like Colston Loveland. I do like the fact that, Ben Johnson said that he reminds him of Sam Laporta. And if he's planning on doing the same thing with Sam Laporta that they did with, they do with Loveland, that they did with Laporta's rookie year, that's great. But then there's the Jonnu Smith deal. And I don't understand. Miami wants to retain him, yet he's being shopped and Pittsburgh's looking at him. I think if he goes to Pittsburgh, it's like a death sentence there. I don't know if I want to take that risk.
Yeah, I agree with you. That scares the heck out of me if he goes to Pittsburgh. They got Freiermuth already, and they have no QB as we speak right now. Mason Rudolph's the guy. It's just that would absolutely kill him. I hope for his fantasy value he sticks in Miami. If he sticks in Miami, I still think he's a solid low-end number 1 tight end. But if he moves to Pittsburgh, I don't want any part of him. No good.
No, definitely.
So Bo Nix, your guy there, he goes in round 9 with the 4th pick. And then we had the Las Vegas team. He took Guriendo, smart owner there. He took McCaffrey in the 1st round, got Guriendo there in the 9th round. So kudos to him there. Just like the Running Rebels team took Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet as well. I think those are my 2 favorite handcuffs this year. If I'm going to handcuff any backs on any team in any situation, it's going to be those 2 guys. After that, I'm not really as excited about a lot of the handcuffs, but those 2 are the ones that really stick out in my opinion.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, again, it's not every situation requires a handcuff, but you have to look at, the players and you have to look at the scheme and say, if this guy goes down, will the guy behind him just step right into the role, or are there 2 guys behind him who could share the role, right? Because then I don't want to handcuff. Like, I mean, listen, Kyron Williams, I think, deserves a handcuff, but I don't know if it's Blake Corum or Jarquez Hunter.
Yep, it's fair.
So it's like, why touch that? But when it comes to like Guriendo behind McCaffrey, and Sharbs over with Walker, I will say Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones is probably a good one here, although didn't end up on the same team. You've got Michael Collins, Los Haggis over there with Aaron Jones and our boy Joe Bradshaw, handcuff city over here.
Yeah, it is. So I wanted to ask you about Travis Etienne too. We're getting some positive reports from the coach about him. Has he changed in your eyes at all? I mean, for me, I think at that spot, I love taking him just because he's number one back right now, and you get him as a third or fourth back on your roster. I think he's worth the risk. But are you believing any of the ETN hype that's coming out of Jacksonville at all?
No, I'm not believing any of the hype. I mean, I know who Travis Etienne is, but I also know what Liam Cohen does for a running back. And, Liam Cohen definitely subscribes to the give me one guy. He didn't, you watched as he phased out Rashad White, after the first several weeks, and it became all Bucky Irving. And I think that that's kind of what we're looking at in Jacksonville. I think it's Etienne's job to lose. Tank Bigsby is not an overly impressive guy, hasn't done anything huge. Bashal Tootin, we know he's fast, but we also know he's got like a case of the fumbles. Yeah. I mean, 9 fumbles, in the college, at the college level in a season, that's a lot. Like why are you not on the bench if you're fumbling it 9 times? So, yeah, there's no guarantee. I think for the price tag here, ETN in the 9th, I think that's a great value. It's a good value pick for me.
For sure.
And look at that. Next to Rashad White and Garendo, in between those guys. Come on.
That's what I was just going to mention, just the guys going around him. I'd take that all day at that point. Again, you're watching the Fantasy Life Championship live stream here on RealTime Fantasy Sports on our YouTube channel. You can watch, you're watching on Facebook right now as well. We're always excited to bring it to you every Wednesday night. It's the 9 p.m. Eastern draft. We drafted here live on YouTube with me and Howard. It's always a lot of fun going over these drafts, seeing how they play out. You can get in one as well. Just go to rtsports.com, click on that Money League link, and you can see all the leagues we have to offer on there, not just this Fantasy Life Championship, but our best ball games, All-American, our Beat Bender Best Ball Challenge as well. All sorts of options for you to pick from here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. But this is the Fantasy Life Championship, which gives away a $500,000 prize. So this is a big one. And we have rewards going on right now as well. You can see those on your pages as well underneath your name. It will show you everything that we're offering to you for drafting in June. So definitely take advantage of everything we're offering right now here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. So Howard, round 10, we have Jaden Higgins, Jordan Mason, Jadon Blue, Austin Eckler, David Njoku, Trey Harris, Keon Coleman, Brandon Ayuk, J.K. Dobbins, Tajay Spears, Elijah Mitchell, Caleb Williams. So J.K. Dobbins still without a team. We just talked about him visiting with Denver. Where do you think he ends up? Do you think it's going to be Denver, or I guess better yet, where would you like to see him end up?
Anywhere that's not with one of my running backs. I've just never been a fan of J.K. Dobbins. I mean, he can't stay healthy, and it's turned to the point now where he does just enough to screw the value of the other player, and not enough to really get super excited. You were watching him last year and you were like, wow, okay, J.K. Dobbins getting some volume, doing well. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Right. I mean, it was just, so I definitely don't want him in Denver. Definitely don't want him there. He can go to Pittsburgh, screw them up there. I don't know. I mean, anywhere but a team that I like. How about that?
I like that, though. That's a good point. You just don't want him to screw up a backfield. I mean, Dallas, he could end up playing a role there, but I'd rather see Javonte Williams there. Just kind of alone, give him a chance to maybe run with it, give him some good value. But you're right. It's just a situation that could be scary a little bit if he ends up signing with one of these teams that already has some backs going for him. I mean, there's another back in Nick Chubb, same way. I think Nick Chubb, though, is a little more washed. I hate to say it. Those injuries just have caught up with him. He's had some devastating leg injuries, and it's just kind of sad because he's a pretty good back when he was at the top of his game.
I would like to see him land with Chicago. I know I was just saying some nice things about DeAndre Swift, but I think if you're really looking to recreate that thunder and lightning of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I think a split backfield of DeAndre Swift and Nick Chubb plays. So I wouldn't mind to see that there. J.K. Dobbins, because he's more of a pass catcher than anything else. That's the monkey wrench that he throws in for us. That's he screws us over on that.
He does, yeah. And I didn't realize Nick Chubb did go at the start of the 11th round. So the 11th round went Nick Chubb, Adam Thielen, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, Trey Benson, Dalton Kincaid, Braylon Allen, Jake Ferguson, Jared Goff, Ibuka, Dak Prescott, and Jack Betch. So Tyler Warren, another rookie tight end, kind of highly thought of. He's in Indianapolis. I can't get a good feel for what I feel like he's going to do this year. It just kind of worries me, that situation in Indy. They haven't really utilized the tight end a lot in recent years. I don't like the QB situation with Anthony Richardson as well. What's your thoughts on Tyler Warren for this year?
Yeah, I like it better if Daniel Jones has the job. I think he's a better passer than Anthony Richardson. Yeah, you're right. They don't really use the tight end a whole heck of a lot, but they also they thought that Kylan Granson could be a good pass catching tight end, and that experiment didn't work out. They just kept relying on Mo Alley Cox because he could block and he was a big red zone target. So I'm okay. I think Warren he's a great dynasty pick.
Yeah.
Because if they do shift coordinators or whatever, he's got the talent to to be both on the field as a blocker and as a pass catcher. I think he's got that talent there. But yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm a little bit more lukewarm on him this season.
Dalton Kincaid's another tight end, went in this round, 2 picks after Warren. There was some news of him today, looking in a lot better shape. Said he's been in the weight room nonstop this offseason. He was a really popular pick last year. I know I was high on him last year just because I didn't like those targets in Buffalo at receiver. I thought maybe Kincaid could jump in there and have a big season. Didn't quite happen. Now he's going to round 11, and he's the number 1 tight end for this Las Vegas team. You think Kincaid can get it going this year?
Well, how annoying is it to constantly hear that a player was playing hurt all season long and we didn't hear about it? Like, it sounds like people making excuses for him, but for the same token, it's definitely believable. But where are the beat writers? Where are the beat writers doing their jobs? Where are they digging for the news? Right? Dalton Kincaid, if he's underperforming and they're not utilizing him, snaps wise, then why? Now, dig for that question, find out why, and then come back and be like, oh, he's banged up, he's hurt, he's not, whatever. Dawson Knox is they find that he's a better blocker, but he can also catch some passes. So, they kind of prefer to utilize, him, just as much, if not maybe more than Dalton Kincaid. Like, give us some answers there. I love the talent for the kid. I love the potential, but yeah, it's very tough I was in on it also last year. I was like, stop taking Sam Laporta in the 2nd round when in the 5th and 6th round you can get Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid. McBride was great. Kincaid was terrible.
Yeah, he was. In round 12 now, you got Kyle Pitts going as a number 2 tight end for the Showtime team. Oh. I'm out on Pitts as a number 1 tight end. You can get him as a number 2. Why not? Especially if you have someone like Ingram on your team. I think that's a great pick. You're probably really loving the Showtime. I like Kyler Murray as his QB too. He's done well in building that draft in the back there.
He's done really well. And, and taking Higgins and Betch, just, one of them, you just need some upside there, right? So I think, I like what he's got going there. It's just enough rookie love. It's not over the top, though. So, Pitts, on the other hand, though, my concern is that it's just the offense just isn't suiting him, right? Zach Robinson is not incorporating the tight end. He's not utilizing Pitts out of the slot enough. I guess I'm not really sure. You've got Drake London and Darnell Mooney. I don't understand the lack of consistent targets for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is the guy who next year, Jeff, will be on every single one of my teams because he'll be on a new team.
That's true.
He'll be on a new team, and I am 100% in on him.
He needs to be utilized. I'd love to see him utilized like Miami did Johnny Smith last year with some of the screen game a little more. Johnny Smith's really good. after the catch, and I think that could be a good fit moving an offense like that. You're right. I think Pitts could definitely be an intriguing player next year when he's on a new team. So that round 12 was Pitts, Marquise Brown, Mason Taylor, another tight end. So that's Jeff Bridges' actually first tight end. He got Mason Taylor as the number one tight end. Then Ray Davis, Tank Bigsby, Kyle Williams, Xavier Legette, Christian Kirk, Cedric Tillman, who you talked about a little bit earlier, Rashawn Johnson, J.J. McCarthy, Jerome Ford. All right, Howard, we are nearing the end of the stream here. Let's see, we're through 12 rounds. Let's talk about some of our favorite teams. One team that we have not talked about, I'll give somebody first, and I feel like they've done a good job as this Donkey team. He's got Ashton Genty, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown. So 3 really good running backs, in my opinion. Then Terry McLaurin, Jameson Williams. Some concern there is a number 2 receiver. But then Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Najee Harris, Michael Pittman, Trey Harris, Braylon Allen, and Kyle Williams. I kind of like that team. I worry about his receiver depth, but I love his running backs. I like the Mahomes and Kelce stack. I still think Kelce's got a little something left in the tank. So that's one team that I think has done really well. Is there another team that you like? I know you talked about the Showtime team, but anybody else?
Showtime's my favorite. I like Los Haggis. I like what he's got there. You know who's is interesting? The Waco Kid, David Kennedy's team. Because you've got 2 great wide receivers right at the top. You got a very undervalued Breece Hall in round 3. You get a top 3 quarterback in Jaden Daniels and a tight end who I think could actually finish this season as tight end 1 in George Kittle. So I like that a lot. Then you bring in a guy like Xavier Worthy who, will get his work with Patrick Mahomes. He has good running back in Brian Robinson. He's just an RB2. There's upside with Tootin. Darnell Mooney, Brandon. Listen, I like this team. And the backup is with Drake May. I think that's an interesting one there too. I was looking at Drake May and I'm like, he's got a mobile factor to his game. If he picks up on McDaniel's offense, if he learns that cold, they gave him Stephon Diggs, who, put the pink cocaine aside if you need to. Boats and hoes and digs. That's my that's my motto this year. But you've committed to May. You've said, all right, here's your wide receiver 1. You've got some other weaponry here. We've given you a good pass catch and running back in Trevion Henderson. So I think May is him and Fields right there at the bottom. Mobile QB upside at bargain QB prices.
So Fields is actually the first QB taken for Parliament there. And he's former 1,000-yard rusher at the QB spot. You have to like his potential if he starts all 17 games there. So definitely an intriguing player. J.J. McCarthy went the round before too. So J.J. McCarthy's getting some hype also. Are you buying in the J.J. McCarthy hype? Do you think he's going to be a good fantasy QB this year?
Yeah, the interesting thing about McCarthy is because he comes from a scheme that was so run heavy that you never really got to see him. Like, he was efficient, and you looked and you were like, oh, he's got a good arm, but they never really relied on him, at Michigan. And then the injury obviously kind of takes it out. But I think there is some rushing upside to his game. Can he get me 500 yards over the course of the season? Probably. 30 yards during a game, maybe he gets into the end zone. I like it because, and I've done this in the Beat Bender leagues also, in leagues where I've taken Justin Jefferson in the first round. I'll kind of fish through and I'll grab like a Hawkinson or an Addison, but I'll make sure that I grab J.J. McCarthy late just to pair him up with Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by McCarthy just because of the way that O'Connell runs his offense, and they're so pass heavy. Even with Sam Darnold last year, if you can get him to produce a good fantasy season, I think if McCarthy is healthy and showing well, that he picked up that offense quickly, I think he could have a big season. So I'm kind of intrigued by him. I like him as one of my best ball targets, but I'll take him as a number 2 for sure in standard leagues like this. All right, Howard, I appreciate you coming on as always. It's always a lot of fun to do these these Fantasy Life Championship live streams with you. It's fun to do best ball leagues with you as well. But you can do that with the Beat Bender Best Ball Challenge here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, $10,000 grand prize for that. You can get in those leagues. Go to rtsports.com, click on that money league link, and take advantage of everything we have to offer on there. But Howard, this has been fun as always. I look forward to doing it again with you next week. You can get in that draft right now if you'd like. It's available up on the site, so you can get in to that now and then hear Howard and I break it down. But Howard, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me as always. You know what we should do next week on the draft? We should tell the guys that they have to draft in reverse, because we never, when we only do the hour, we never get to talk about the late round picks.
True.
Round 17 through 9. We should make sure that they kind of invert it for us next week.
That'd be a trick in itself. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see how
that'd be a tough one.
It would. It's a good idea though. All right, Howard. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. If you want to follow Howard, it's at RotoBuzz on Twitter as well, and he has all sorts of great content on Fantasy Alarm and our site as well, RealTime Fantasy Sports. He has the weekly Bender column up also. All right, Howard. Have a great night, and great seeing you as always. Thanks to everybody out there for watching as well, and look forward to talking to you next week here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. This has been Jeff Paur. Have a great night.